Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sine, and I have to say, if you stay in this channel long enough, I'm pretty sure this will become your favorite YouTube channel. Anyways, in today's topic, I'll be discussing the topic of fear. What is fear? Why do we fear? And why do we keep allowing fear to hold us back from who we really are? Are you interested? Let's get to it. And so before I start to discuss this whole thing of fear, I first like to give you a definition of what fear is. And according to Google, fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the threat of danger, pain, or harm. Now that's a lot to unpack. And so I remember watching this other TED talk, and the speaker said, well, the speaker's name is actually Dan Meyer or Dan Meyer, and I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing his surname wrong, but the point is, he said, everyone dies, but not everyone gets to live. Whoa. I was really astonished when I came across this, because really our final destination is death. But then, what really stood out to me is that not everyone gets to live. And it is because of fear. Fear really takes away a huge fraction of your life, of your experiences, of what you could have been or what you could have done, all in the name of fear. And so I really want to touch on a couple of points, with respect to fear. And I really want to say that reading the Bible, so many times I have encountered the phrase "don't fear, don't fear, don't fear," so many times, all the way from the book of Exodus with Moses and the Israelites running away from the Egyptians. And so it really just to say that God focuses a lot on the fact that we mustn't fear. He even tells Joshua, do not fear, and he even takes it all the way to the book of Second Timothy, where Timothy says that, for we have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And so really, fear takes away a lot of your life. And so having said that, we all know that we are entitled to our opinion, or rather we are entitled to our narratives, because our narratives is the way we tell a story, because it is how we see it. And are we actually entitled to our narratives? Can someone tell your story better than you? Well, I believe that no one else can tell a better story than you yourself. If you tell your own story the way that comes across to you, then that is your narrative, and no one can argue with that. But my biggest problem is, what if you are not entitled to your story? What if you're not entitled to your narrative? Because I really believe that fear gets to be the most dominant narrative we can ever tell. We don't get to tell the stories of our victories and how God has overcome battles for us, because fear seems to be speaking the loudest. Why is it that we choose to hold on to fear, even though we know that it is bad and that we shouldn't necessarily invest so much time and energy, to fear itself? And I've actually, come to realize, during the week, I was listening to some other podcast. And so the speaker was saying that when we were born as children, we were really born with two types of fear. And that is the fear of being dropped. And number two, it is the fear of water. Because, it's a totally, different environment than your mommy's stomach. And so this raises the question, where does all the other list of fear come from? Where do we get it from? Because it can only mean one thing. We learn how to fear. We learn how to be fearful. And so having said that, I'll actually give you 4 things that I noticed about my own fears and where they actually come from. And so number 1 is that people projecting their fears on you as a child. And so as a child, I could have been taught to love something, and I could have been taught to hate something. A very basic example is that as a child, I was taught how to fear dogs. They literally described dogs to me as something so scary with sharp teeth And whenever a dog came along, everyone like would literally overreact, and they would start calling the dogs names and that kind of stuff. And so as a result, I learned that dogs were just not pleasant at all. And so comparing myself to other children, from a very young age, they were taught how to love dogs and how to see dogs as their pets. And then I was like, wait, then something is not adding up here. I am fearful of dogs because I've been taught how to fear dogs, but then at that time I never knew that I was taught how to fear dogs. I just thought that I naturally feared dogs, but that was not the case. You learn how to fear. And so number one, it could be because people are projecting their fears upon you. And number two is bullying. Bullies have this thing that they leave with you. And so going through bullying experiences, like you seriously lose your self-esteem, and as a result you tend to fear the people that bully you, because they project themselves across as people who are mighty, and people who can just do anything to you. And so fear can also stem from bullying. And the third thing is experiences. And so when I say experiences, is that sometimes you can get yourself in some situation, and as a result, like, it didn't end quite well, and so you are fearful of ever encountering that situation again. And also low self-esteem. If you have a low self-esteem, you are much more vulnerable, and you are much more vulnerable to other people's perception of you and what they think of you, and how you should come across to them. And so it can really make you very uncomfortable, and it can really pressure you so much, not being the best version of yourself, when you show up to people. And so it will make you, be fearful, and other things, such as, social anxiety, or, whatever condition there is. And so all of those things, really evoke fear inside of us. And so this is just my personal reflection of where I think I might have gotten my fears from. So it's just those four things, which is people projecting their fears on me as a child. Number two, it is bullying. Number three, experiences. And of course, other conditions, such as, having trouble with, speaking to a larger group of people, or whatever it is. And so, how I was able to conquer most of my fears is to change the narrative I tell myself. And if you constantly tell yourself, I fear this, I fear this, I fear this because of this reason, it will be so hard for you to get out of this cycle of fear. You have to change your narrative towards how you think towards fear. If your story with fear is a very justified one, then you're gonna have a problem letting go of that fear, because fear needs you to justify it. If you can justify the reasons why you're fearful, you will continue to hold on to them, because you are justified. I fear this because I've been through this and I've been through that. And so you will continue to cause a lot of traumatic experiences to yourself, because you are not changing how you see fear. If you change the way you see a situation, chances are you will react differently to that situation. And so this is why God says we have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind, because we really have. So if you're fearful, you lose your sanity, you lose your power, and you lose the love that is in you, because it's other love or it's other feelings. And so yes, and so these below are 4 tips as to how you can overcome your fears. And so number one, it is to really identify where your fears come from, because everything originates from somewhere. And remember, fears are learned, okay? They are not naturally generated. You learn how to fear. And so if you can pinpoint where your fear might come from, then you are starting somewhere. There's no use of solving something you don't understand the context of. And so understand the context of your fear, and then after that you can ask yourself this question: can I imagine my life without fear? Because sometimes fear can become part of us, our other half, and so if you can imagine your life without fear, start, giving yourself reasons why you are a better person without your fears. if your fear is, rejection, or if your fear is, I don't know, like, being in a group of people. And so can you imagine yourself, in the midst of, a larger group of people? I mean, you don't have to. I mean, like, we won't 100% eliminate all of our fears, but then the ones you can eliminate, by all means eliminate. And so my third point is that you need to pray about it, okay? Pray that God gives you strength, because I mean, you are defeating something you have carried with you for so many years. And so it won't just take 1 hour or 1 day or 6 months. I mean, it's gonna be a really long process, but you need to be patient with yourself. And my last point is that reduce the voice of fear inside your mind. I mean, like, let's say, for example, your fear is on level 13. And so reduce, like, the voice of fear to perhaps like a level 3 or a level 4. Because, like, this is to say, we don't 100% eliminate our fears, but we can control how much of it we listen to. And so I hope that this was helpful. And if you have any other points you think I should have mentioned, you can comment on the comment section below. And thank you so much for listening. God loves you, and bye.